Okay, today's going to be getting started on your gray washes within the black background or the negative space in your drawing. So you can take the photo on your phone. I'm using my phone to record, so I have the actual flowers that I'm using here in front of me. And I also have a printed out photo of this flower. When you do the value washes, I want you to envision the different areas of black, gray, and those different nuances in between. If you need me to print out a photo for you so you can literally draw on it, you can do that. Otherwise, try the markup feature on your cell phone. So what you want to do first is think about where the very lightest grays, or even if there are white areas of your plants. Those are the areas that you need to work on first. So if I'm looking at this flower in front of me and I envision that light comes through, it's going to hit the top parts of this. There's going to be a little bit of reflected light towards the bottom. And if light comes this direction, I will have some shadows on this side of the petal and also where the overlap happens. So you'll see me start those grays in there. If you look closely, this particular plant also has a little bit of line texture in the petals, so you'll see me add that with my grays. Okay, so I'm going to be working with a little light gray wash on the edges and streaking it through to the center of the petal. So I'm going to take my clean brush and some water, and I want to make a nice light gray to begin with. And the secret here is going to be letting your lightest grays dry before you move to the next darkest value. If you go too quickly, you're going to see your values blur together, and it's going to make this media a little harder to control. Okay. So just a really light gray wash. Now I always have a scrap paper next to me to test my values, and that's on the pretty light side of things. So, and that's a little bit dark, so we'll just mix a little more water in here and we should be good to go. So now if I test this out, that's pretty good. I can also have a Kleenex or a paper towel next to me to blot off a lot of heavy ink layer. So I need to start at this bottom leaf. Think about where you're going to put your hand down. And I want to go ahead and begin painting a little bit of light gray, showing some of that petal texture, but I'm starting at the top and pulling it towards the center. Okay, so light's gonna hit the center right here, so I'm gonna leave this part a little bit open and empty and work on some of my grays, coming from the folds and the shadow areas up towards where I believe the light would hit it, and allowing just a little bit of line to show. So down here I can start painting this darker part of the petal, and I want to make sure that I stay slightly away from the edge because I'm going to create some reflected light there. Any of these little puddles that you get, you can pull into the center, or you can blot your brush and kind of pick those up just a little bit. Now the next petal is going to be right along this edge here. So I'm going to take what's left on my brush and help to separate that. Right here I'm going to leave it light so I can represent the light hitting the inside of that petal, and then I have a little bit of defining line between that one and the next one. Using just a really light touch, I'm going to add some value in here. And everything that overlaps is going to be just a little bit darker. Think about what is laying on top of what. And we'll go into that one there. So this is what a first light layered wash is going to look like. Now, if I'm ready to add some darker value, let's see if I've let it dry enough. So going into my darker, that's very dark, I need just a little bit of water in there. So it can be a little tricky to find the right balance between the water and the ink and how much you need of each. That's why you need the tester paper. Make sure before you're doing this and painting on here, you always have a rough idea of what this value is gonna look like. Okay, so I'm gonna blot some of my brush off here. Mix a little more water. And this should probably be good. Yep, okay. So now what I wanna do, this petal's folded over. And you can see that if your next layer of ink doesn't bleed anywhere, then you have let it dry long enough. And I'm gonna start to separate this fold over. Now down here, I wanna go ahead and leave a little bit of reflected light to separate the black background from the dark shadow. So now I'm going to blot my brush on a paper towel or a Kleenex. And while it's still wet, I'll kind of shape it a little bit. And I'm just gonna very lightly touch the bottom of this and blend it. Okay, so now you can see a gentle fade from the dark to the reflected light.